Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we have our very first look at the Tier 6 Premium American Destroyer, the Benham. So, let's take a look at our commander. Now we're using Arleigh Burke, which is the commander that I use on the American Destroyers. There is also, what's the other guy, Halsey. Halsey is the one that most people probably use. Because you get the twist and track ability. But yeah, I personally prefer Arleigh Burke. That's just my play style. But anyway, we've got our double concealment build here. We are running a quick fix. We're running Look at Me Now. We are running back in stock, and we are running sidestep with our legendary perk of Unstoppable. Now, if we go back to the loadout, you'll see that I'm running Aiming Systems Mod 1, we're running Propulsion Mod, and we're running Concealment System Mod. Okay? The Propulsion Mod could probably be swapped out for the steering gears if you really want to. That's kind of a feel thing, whatever you want. But it's got some interesting things about it. As you can see, we're running the community contributor flag and the camo that comes with the ship. We have 14,500 hit points. We have only 4 main guns for an American destroyer, but they are still the 127mm DACA guns that we all have come to know and love. They reload in 4 seconds, and they have basically no turn time. 6 seconds to go 180 degrees. Torpedoes is where this ship really shines as far as the whole reason that people are looking forward to this ship as opposed to other American destroyers is that it gets 16 533mm American torpedoes. Now, I will say this. We were all wondering how they were going to balance this ship from PC to console, given the fact that on console it has the American long-range upgraded Fletcher torpedoes that have, like, I think it's 10-kilometer range. They do 66 knots or 67 knots, and yeah, we didn't get that on World of Warships Legends. Now, personally, I would have rather them had this at Tier 7 and given them the longer range torpedoes, because that would have made for some interesting moments. But they didn't do that. They brought out a ship, and I will say this, the ship does feel balanced. I will give them that. It's not overpowered at all. But it also kind of misses the whole point of the ship, in my opinion. But what do you get out of these 16 torpedoes? First of all, you get 8 per side of the ship. So you fire 8 off of one side, you got to flip all the way around the other side and fire 8 off the other side. Reload time is very good at 81.6 seconds. So the reload is pretty nice. 180 degree turn time is non-existent as usual. Maximum damage is where you kind of laugh at these. 9,200 damage is not good. I know they're only 533mm, so what can you expect? But seriously, 7.5 kilometer torpedo range, also not preferable. And then, of course, torpedo speed is abysmal because they're the old school torpedoes. So yeah, 56 knots, 7.5 kilometers. They do have a 1.1 kilometer detectability, so I guess there's that. But yeah, these things are just what they lack in overall firepower, they make up for in quantity. Maneuverability. The ship has a 36.5 top speed. Not particularly good, not bad, but not good. Turning circle radius is 560. Again, not bad, but not good. Rudder shift time is 3.5 seconds, 3.7 seconds to be exact. Not bad. Concealment. Detectability by sea is 5.5 kilometers with our current build. There have been people that have outspotted me. It's just because 5.5 kilometers isn't particularly good, but it's good enough to get you close to what you need to get to. When you only have 7.5 kilometer torpedoes, you definitely want to be getting up close and personal. 3.1 kilometer detectability by air, 2 is guaranteed, and then of course detectability in smoke is only 2.6, which is very good. And this does have the long duration smoke that you're used to on American destroyers as well. So they have a long reload time, but they do last quite a while, 85 seconds. So it's nice. Alright, so overview. She's got extended smoke. She's got big yield, above average torpedo damage. Are you on crack? Let's be real. It's 533 millimeters. They only do 9,000 damage. How is that above average torpedo damage? The only thing I can figure there is that you have 16 of them. So you have a lot of torpedoes, but they don't hit harder than anything else. They're 533 millimeters. They're not good torpedoes. Sluggish shot, difficult to aim at long distances. This is, just the American light shells that we're used to. It's not anything particularly difficult. They are a little floaty, even at mid-range, so keep that in mind. Benham, the lead ship of a series of destroyers whose main armament comprised 4 quadruple torpedo tubes placed along both sides of the ship. In addition to dual-purpose 127mm guns, she entered service in 1939, and there were 10 of them in the series. So, let's take a look at the ship. As always, the camo looks pretty good. I like it. And the ship sits pretty high up in the water on the front. The back isn't so bad, but the front definitely sits up there and gives the enemy quite a bit to shoot at. But you can see right there midship, we have 4 quadruple launchers of torpedoes, and they have pretty good firing angles as well. So yeah, they do have very good usability. So let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we are going to show you guys on Sleeping Giant the utility of the Benham. And while that's going on, I'm going to go over some of the history real quick, just to give you guys a little bit about the ship, because it is another historically significant ship. You might recognize some of the names that were around this particular ship. So, let's get started. USS Benham, DD-397, was the lead ship of her class of destroyers and the second ship of the United States Navy to be named after Andrew Ellicott Kennedy Benham. It missed the attack on Pearl Harbor, being an escort for the the aircraft carrier USS Enterprise on its way to Midway Atoll at the time. It also served off of Hawaii during the Doolittle raid, rescued survivors from several ships, and operated during the Battle of Midway and the landings on Guadalcanal, among other missions. It was torpedoed and rendered unusable, for which it was sunk at the end of 1942. See if there's anything else I can see here. Benham served with Enterprise and Saratoga task forces off Hawaii and Task Force 16 during the Doolittle raid on Tokyo. From 8th to the 25th of April 1942. She continued operating with Task Force 16 through the Battle of Midway from the 3rd of June to 6th of June, during which she rescued 720 survivors from the aircraft carrier Yorktown and 188 from the destroyer Hamon. Landings on Guadalcanal and Tulagi from the 7th and 9th, from 7th to the 9th of August, and the Battle of Eastern Solomons from the 23rd to 25th. Benham joined Task Force 64 on the 15th of October as a part of Naval Covering Force of Guadalcanal. During the 14th and 15th of November, she took part in the Naval Battle of Guadalcanal, and at 12:38 a.m. on November 15th, she took a single torpedo in her bow, which severed everything forward of her bridge. Benham stayed afloat, making slow headway towards Guadalcanal during the 15th, but by 16:37, further progress was impossible and her crew abandoned ship.
Engine boost deactivated.
Gwynn picked up the survivors and sank the hull at 1938 by shell fire. So, a little bit of naval history there for you guys. I know you guys have been enjoying that, and I have as well. But we're going to get into the actual battle now, and as you can see, we rush straight ahead, noticing that the three of the enemy destroyers, because there are 10 of them in this match, there were 10 of us in this match, 10 destroyers in this single match. 3 of them were spotted in the center of the map. So I pushed into this cap so that we could take it early. Now, the destroyer next to me has decided to start firing its guns at the destroyer that's outside, way out there, and there is a King George sitting out there as well. And unfortunately for me, this means that I have to sit here a little longer than I planned on, because every time that we get almost done capping the base, the genius gets hit and resets the cap. Luckily, I have all the points at this point, so even though he is getting reset, this is just a matter of time before I eventually get it. Now, he does throw a smoke screen, so I start firing at the enemy Saucio while I'm waiting for this to finally finish capping, and we do actually finish capping here. So now I'm going to try to push forward and maybe, you know, keep people off my back. Now, obviously, we have lost 3 of our destroyers. They have lost 0 ships total. And that just goes to show you just how stupid people can be when they're in destroyers. Luckily, the Fubuki that was behind me dies and takes the King George with him. King George, that's more on you, bud, because you saw the guy. And look at this, the sneaky little booger trying some aerial denial here. That was a 3 launcher, which means there's most likely a Japanese destroyer somewhere nearby. And you'll see in just a moment we get a spotting on him off the right side of the ship, and he's trying to run away, which you can't really blame him for. He is actually trying to run. But we're going to put some hits on him. Now, this thing may only have 4 guns, but they are still fully capable of absolutely wrecking other destroyers, given the chance. So do not sleep on the guns of this ship. It is still an American destroyer, and they do reload extremely fast, and they have very good tracking. So you're not going to be able to get away with it very often. And on top of that, 16 torpedoes for when you need to deny an area. But right now we're capturing the center cap. We've already got 2 caps. I'm keeping an eye on the fight directly ahead of me at A. Now, I've had better damaging games than this, but I really thought that this kind of showcased the ship, and that's what I tried to go for on these particular meet the games. It's not always about raw damage. Sometimes it's about seeing the ship in action in certain situations and so on. So I try to put them in the situations that they excel in the most. And this ship is very good at the utilitarian role. You're not going to want to be taking this thing out and going and trying to torp everything, because you got to get really close to torp things. 7.5 kilometers is very close, and you have, at best right now, I have a 5.5 kilometer surface detection. So you've got to be careful, and you can see just how quickly this game has flipped on its nose. They've lost 2 battleships, they've lost 3 destroyers, and suddenly this game is up for grabs. Now, our Graf Spee here has put himself into a bit of trouble. I think he wanted me to come back earlier, but I was not going to stop doing what I had set out to do, okay? There are times where I will try to go out of my way to help a teammate, and there are times where I have a plan in my head, and that plan is to do certain things that will win us the match ultimately. So, in this case, it was more of get to the caps and capture the zone. Now, I'm not going to lie, I thought that there was going to be a destroyer chasing this Graf Spee through. He does actually chase him with torpedoes, but he doesn't come through. He's actually heading over to D right now. And then, of course, I'm here with the New Mexico. I'm like, oh, we're just outside range, so maybe if I sail a little bit longer, we'll get in range and possibly be able to hit this New Mexico here. So we go ahead and we launch 8 torpedoes in his general direction. Not sure if he's going to back up, but I'm assuming he is. So then I start to push forward. Now we know that the Gneisenau is heading our direction, so we're going to use our engine boost here, push straight through this gap so that we don't take damage, and get to the backside of this island. Except, I'm forgetting something, guys. I'm forgetting that the torpedoes that I just fired were on the left side of my ship, which means I need to flip this ship all the way back around to fire the torpedoes off the other side. And you'll see right here, I'm sizing him up. He does appear to be charging straight through this gap. Now he's within spotting range of me, so I've got to start backing up. Actually, I think it's a destroyer that's spotting us right now instead of him. because he's not inside 2 kilometer guaranteed acquisition. He does try to torp me, but I mean, honestly, he had no chance of torping me there. But as you can see, he gets detected. We go ahead and dump 8 torpedoes off the right side of the ship in his general direction, and then we start sailing this way. Now, my goal is, because I'm spotted, hoping that he's going to be expecting me to just charge in behind him, and he's not going to pay attention to the fact that I just dumped torps out the front of him. And it appears that I was partially correct, because he does take 3 torpedoes on the bow of his ship by coming around that edge of the corner. But again, it only does a little bit of damage. These torpedoes just do not hit hard at all. And by any battleship that has any sort of torpedo damage reduction, these torps are basically just airdrop torpedoes from PC. Like, they don't do any damage. You have to get a lot of hits in order to get damage. But it's got a lot of them. So if you're able to stack 8 torpedoes and get good hits on guaranteed targets coming through areas, it's very hard for people to dodge these torpedoes, because you can literally just fill the entire area with them. So you're likely to get some hits, even if it's not all the hits, and it's not a lot of damage. Now, I dropped my smoke here, my last smoke, because I was initially detected by these guys. I fired the guns here and I get detected, and I'm like, why am I detected? Oh yeah, the New Mexico off the right side, or off the back of my ship right now. I forgot about him. Well, luckily for me, the right side torpedo launchers are loaded, so we're going to go ahead and dump these out here. As you can see, minute 20 seconds on the reload, so then we start firing the guns. Now, normally you fire the guns at a destroyer, and everybody that knows that you're firing the guns at them are just going to start changing what they're doing, because torpedoes are on the way. This guy, however, does not get the memo. And as you can see, his guns are looking at me. He is clearly, noticing that I am here. And maybe it was because he didn't notice until after I was kind of bow into him. He wasn't expecting these torpedoes. But honestly, this is where you're going to get yourself into trouble. Because if you don't notice these torpedoes, they sneak up on you real hard. And he's going to take a few of them. As you can see, 4 of them are right there ready to be taken. And we hit him with 2, 3. Are we going to get 4? Nope, just 3. But we're back to shooting the guns. Now, most torpedoes, I mean, we just shot 8 torpedoes at him. Clearly, that's all the torpedoes we got, right, guys? And we do get a fire, which that fire probably on its own would be enough to finish him off. But we don't need to finish him off with the fire, because we've completely saturated the area with torpedoes again, and any one of those will be enough to finish him off. And down he goes. So yeah, not a bad game by us. It was a fun one. The ship's got some good history, even though it was one of the casualties of World War II, as far as the ship being sunk. I can't imagine the entire front of the ship. Literally everything in front of the bridge was ripped off by a torpedo impact. It just goes to show you just how nasty torpedoes are. And of course, Japanese torpedoes being what they are, just the entire front of the ship severed off. But it didn't sink. It still tried to make its way to Guadalcanal. But eventually, it was just so, it couldn't move forward any longer. And they ended up rescuing the crew and sinking the ship by shooting it. So, it's a very interesting story. And the fact that it was around so many amazing ships, the fact that it helped pick up all those survivors, what was it, like 900 people that it pulled out of the water by itself, like, that's an amazing feat, man. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Is this a ship that I particularly would pick up? Honestly, I don't know. It's not a bad ship by any stretch of the means, but it's not some amazing overpowered monstrosity Udachi. I mean, something like that, which we all thought this was probably going to be. But it's not a bad ship, so I'll let you guys make the decision on that one. 51,000 total damage, only 1 kill, 7 torpedo hits, 44 gun hits, second on the leaderboard with 3 solo caps. Not too bad. So if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.